The truth about Satan in Job. We are taught that Satan is the enemy, the villain, the one who destroys. But there is one book in the Bible that reveals a terrifying secret about the devil that most churches refuse to talk about. In the book of Job, Satan isn't fighting God, he is working with him. Welcome to the Forbidden Testament. Today, we expose the truth about Satan in Job. The horror begins in the throne room of heaven. The text describes a gathering of the B'nai Elohim, the sons of God. These are the watchers, the celestial beings responsible for overseeing creation. And among them walks the Adversary, Satan. God asks him, "Where have you come from?" Satan replies casually, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it, like a predator scouting for prey." Then the unthinkable happens. Satan says nothing about Job. It is God who brings him up. God boasts, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him." It is an invitation. God effectively places a target on the back of his most loyal follower. Satan accepts the challenge. Does Job fear God for nothing? You have put a hedge around him. Strike everything he has, and he will curse you to your face. God accepts. The hedge is removed. What follows isn't just bad luck, it is a coordinated military-grade assault on one man's life. It happens in 4 waves. First, the Sabaeans attack. They slaughter the servants and steal the oxen. Only one servant escapes to tell the tale. While that servant is still speaking, the second one arrives. "The fire of God fell from the heavens," he says. "It burned the sheep and the servants alive, a supernatural incineration." While he was still speaking, the third arrives. The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties. The camels are gone. The remaining servants put to the sword. And then the final blow, the 4th messenger. He doesn't speak of money or animals. He speaks of blood. "Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking when a mighty wind swept in from the desert. The house collapsed. They are all dead." In the span of a few minutes, Job went from the wealthiest man in the East to a childless pauper. And heaven just watched. The physical torture begins next. Satan touches Job's bone and flesh. Covered in painful boils, Job sits in the dust, scraping his skin with broken pottery to relieve the itch. The pain is so intense he cannot even scream. His wife looks at him, a broken ruin of a man, and offers the only mercy she can think of. "Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die." She wants him to end the suffering. Before his friends arrive, Job breaks his silence, but he does not pray for help. In chapter 3, Job delivers one of the darkest soliloquies in the entire Bible. He curses his own existence. He screams to the empty sky, "May the day of my birth perish, and the night that said a boy is conceived. That day, may it turn to darkness." Job is not just sad, he is deconstructing his own creation. He asks why he didn't die at birth. He longs for the grave, describing death as a place where the wicked cease from turmoil and the weary are at rest. He is staring into the abyss, wishing he had never been part of God's world. Then come his friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. They see him and don't even recognize him. They weep aloud, and then they do something terrifying. They sit with him in silence for 7 days and 7 nights. But when they finally speak, they don't offer comfort, they offer accusation. They tell Job, "Innocent people don't suffer like this. You must have sinned. God is just, so you must be evil." It is psychological torture. Job is alone against the world and alone against heaven. But here's a piece of forbidden history that most churches won't tell you. The story of Job might not be unique to the Bible. Archaeologists have discovered ancient tablets from Mesopotamia, specifically the text known as Ludlul Bel Nemeqi, often called the Babylonian Job. It tells the story of a righteous man named Shubshi Meshrei Shakan, who is tormented by demons, abandoned by his gods, and covered in filth. Why does this matter? because it suggests that this story of the dark wager, of gods playing games with human lives, was a primal fear of the ancient world. It wasn't just Job, it was a universal nightmare, that we are merely toys for the entities in the sky. Back in the biblical text, a mysterious fourth figure appears, Elihu. He's young, angry, and claims to speak for the Spirit. He warns Job that God is greater than man and does not need to explain himself. He prepares the stage for the final confrontation. Job demands a trial. He calls out to God, and finally, God answers out of the whirlwind. But he offers no comfort. He offers perspective, terrifying perspective. To show Job how small he really is, God points to the monsters of the deep. First, Behemoth. This creature has baffled scholars for centuries. God says, "Look at Behemoth, he eats grass like an ox." But then the description gets strange. The text says he moves his tail like a cedar tree. Think about that. A cedar tree is massive. A hippopotamus or elephant has a tiny tail like a rope. What animal has a tail thick and long like a tree trunk? Many theorists believe this is a description of a sauropod, a dinosaur living in the post-flood world, a creature so massive that only God could master it. Then God describes the ultimate nightmare, Leviathan. Listen to how the Almighty describes this creature in chapter 41. Its snorting throws out flashes of light. Smoke pours from its nostrils as from a boiling pot. Its breath sets coals ablaze, and flames dart from its mouth. Nothing on earth is its equal. This is not a crocodile. Crocodiles don't breathe fire. God is essentially saying, I created the dragon. I control the chaos. You are just a man. Job realizes the game is much bigger than his own life. The story ends with restoration. Job gets his health back. He gets double the wealth. He has 10 new children. But look closely at the text. The Bible never says Job was told about the wager. He lived the rest of his life never knowing that his pain was the result of a conversation between God and Satan. He never knew why. And that is the true horror of the book of Job. We are playing a game, but we don't know the rules. The monsters God revealed to Job, Behemoth and Leviathan, have origins far older and darker than you think. Were they dinosaurs, demons, or something else? Subscribe to the Forbidden Testament. In our next video, we will hunt down the Leviathan. You don't want to miss it. I am the keeper of the Testament. I'll see you in the shadows.